Mixtape, a game wrapped in memory and sound.
Critics called it genius while players looked around.
An indie miracle? At least that's how it's framed.
But the deeper we dug, the stranger it became.
Hello, and what is going on, everybody? It is Master of the TDS, and I'm joined by my lovely wife,
Riding Raven.
And welcome back to Gothic Therapy, where apparently we can't investigate any game without accidentally falling down a rabbit hole and instead of Wonderland, finding an entire industry ecosystem hiding behind it.
It's okay, though. We're all still mad here.
Sure, I guess. But today we're finally talking about Mixtape, a game critics are calling a masterpiece, emotionally transformative, and the future of narrative gaming.
Meanwhile, over half the players are sitting there like, okay, but where's the gameplay? I don't even need to press any buttons, and we like pressing buttons.
Yes, all the buttons. But if you look online, the reviews are raving. People love this game. The music, the nostalgia, the emotional storytelling.
Basically a vibe sandwich from the gas station down the road. Gamers and even players online kept throwing around words like industry plant, astroturfed, manufactured hype.
And honestly, stranger things have happened in gaming.
Like when you fell down that rabbit hole and found that talk called How Gaming Made Me into a Depressed Gay Communist?
No, we do not talk about that ever again. But we started digging, and we found the answer to the question everyone kept asking.
What is going on with this game, and why is it being pushed so hard?
And this time, we don't have to speculate or calculate probability.
So grab your popcorn, sit back, and enjoy the show.
And if you enjoy deep dives, industry investigations, and watching two sleep-deprived weirdos attempt to slowly unravel the modern entertainment industry one receipt at a time, you should probably subscribe.
Yes, please subscribe and save us from the depressed gay communists.
I said we weren't talking about that anymore! But in all seriousness, once we started mapping out the names hidden in Mixtape's credits, a completely different picture started to emerge. And to understand why that matters, we need to talk about Annapurna Interactive. We need a very quick history lesson, because context is important.
Don't worry, I'll make sure he makes this quick.
Annapurna Interactive was founded in 2016 as the gaming division of Annapurna Pictures, which was founded by billionaire film producer Megan Ellison. And for years, Annapurna became one of the biggest prestige indie labels in gaming. Stray, Outer Wilds, What Remains of Edith Finch, and many others.
Basically, the Games Are Art starter pack, but less banana taped to a wall and more actual art.
Exactly. If that logo showed up, critics paid attention. But then in 2024, Annapurna Interactive collapsed. The entire staff resigned after failed negotiations around a planned spin-off called Verset.
The entire staff signed a joint resignation letter, which is kind of badass.
Multiple reports and insiders pointed towards growing issues with leadership and management under Megan Ellison. But even minus the people behind it, the Annapurna brand was still powerful.
The lights were on, but no one was home, so Megan had to fix that. A new team was brought in.
Yep, and Annapurna kept publishing games through 2024, including Mixtape in 2026. Mixtape was developed by Beethoven and Dinosaur, the Australian studio behind The Artful Escape. Annapurna published it, and you know the rest.
History lesson over.
Because once Mixtape came out, critics praised it like it was the next great indie masterpiece, but a lot of players had a very different reaction, as we already said.
And with not much gameplay to speak of, it just seemed odd. So people made whatever connections they could. Even a government grant, which turned out to be a complete red herring because the Australian government gives out grants way more frequently than people realized.
After the grant angle died down, that's where most people stopped digging. But there was one piece almost everyone missed, or only touched on briefly. The music. Not just that Mixtape had licensed music, how Mixtape had licensed music.
And don't worry, I checked for Taylor Swift songs, and thankfully, there aren't any. Or I wouldn't be here.
Me either. But this soundtrack is not normal indie game background noise. This thing had major artists, major labels, major rights holders, and the soundtrack was being treated like the soul of the entire project. So we started looking for the blueprint.
Who handled the music? Who helped push the game? Who was actually behind the rollout? Because at first glance, the credits didn't explain much at all.
Until they did. We just had to look in the special thanks section. You see a lot of normal credits, but something was missing. Where is the music supervisor? The developers described it almost casually, like they just showed the project to rights holders and everyone immediately wanted in.
But that is not how the industry works. No matter how artsy your project is, people want one thing: money.
Exactly. So we kept looking, and hidden deep in the special thanks to Annapurna section, we found some interesting names.
Almost like someone put them there hoping no one would notice. We noticed. Hi!
The first name that caught our attention was Blue Raven. Now, Blue Raven appears to specialize in marketing support, promotional strategy, and helping games gain visibility online.
Which is normal for the industry. But it is interesting when people were asking why Mixtape suddenly felt like it was everywhere at once.
Then we found Do It or Do It Music. And this one really caught our attention because Mixtape's soundtrack is basically the entire soul of the game.
Which makes sense because without the music, this thing is basically teenagers walking around remembering stuff while waving their hands dramatically.
Or that creepy make-out mouths part of the game.
I was trying to forget I ever saw that. Thanks.
I'm a therapist and your husband. Put it on either of my tabs.
Fine.
At first, we couldn't even figure out what Do It or Do It Music actually was, but after digging deeper, we found prior Annapurna connections, specifically 12 Minutes, where Do It or Do It LLC was explicitly credited for additional music supervision.
Which suddenly makes the soundtrack situation make way more sense.
Because this wasn't just small indie dev gets lucky with a few songs, this involved actual music side infrastructure and supervision tied directly to prior Annapurna projects, and once we realized that,
we got out the shovels and kept digging, because we need graves and bodies won't bury themselves.
Okay then. Next came GrowMotion Ltd.
Which might be the most unintentionally dystopian company name imaginable.
GrowMotion specializes in player recruitment, playtesting, engagement systems, and feedback pipelines. And their own website openly talks about things like engineering the show up, player panels, structured testing, and targeted participant recruitment.
Or in simpler terms, finding the exact people companies want interacting with a game.
Which again, completely normal for the industry. But the pattern was starting to emerge. Then came Indie BI, a company focused on helping indie publishers with visibility, sales strategy, platform promotion, discounts, and marketing support.
Their whole business model is basically, you make game, we make sure people actually play it, or else.
Moving on from that, we found Pop Agenda, which specializes in PR, promotion, creator outreach, and media visibility campaigns for games and entertainment brands.
At this point, the small indie miracle narrative was starting to look pretty chewed up. Probably Mothman.
And then, Tara Bruno PR, another PR and communications firm connected to entertainment and gaming promotion. And one by one, the names in Mixtape's credits stopped looking accidental. It started looking like a map. Music infrastructure, visibility infrastructure, promotion infrastructure, player infrastructure, PR infrastructure.
And then, we hit the name that changed everything.
Stream Hatchet. Now, if you don't know who Stream Hatchet is, they specialize in live stream analytics, influencer campaigns, creator outreach, engagement tracking, and gaming visibility metrics.
Or in simpler terms, they measure how games spread across the internet.
And after digging through their website, we found something very interesting. A full article about influencer marketing campaigns run alongside Annapurna Interactive, specifically for games in the exact same emotional, cozy, atmosphere-driven lane as Mixtape.
The game they covered in the article was Lush Foil Photography Sim, which was also published by Annapurna Interactive.
And this is where the entire picture started snapping into place. Because Stream Hatchet openly explains how these campaigns work. Finding the right creators, targeting the right audiences, generating engagement, building visibility, creating discoverability, and we don't need to speculate. They actually show the numbers.
Time to bury the hatchet!
We are really going to have to talk about this obsession with burying things.
Later.
According to Stream Hatchet, Annapurna Interactive directly worked with them on influencer marketing campaigns. The article openly describes Annapurna reaching out to Stream Hatchet in order to, quote, run a dedicated influencer marketing campaign, end quote.
Just openly saying, hey, help us push this game everywhere.
And according to their own metrics, just 4 creators generated nearly 40,000 hours watched and over 216,000 video views.
And that was for a game where you mostly walk around taking pictures of stuff, which suddenly makes this whole thing hit very differently.
Exactly, because this is the moment where the indie miracle story starts collapsing. Not because Mixtape is fake, not because influencer marketing is abnormal, but because this was never some tiny little underdog game that organically conquered the internet through pure artistic brilliance.
This thing had it all the bells and whistles right from the start.
And once you line all that up together, Mixtape stops looking like an indie darling and starts looking like a manufactured one.
Or more accurately, an industry darling.
Exactly. And that is what people were sensing. That is why the game suddenly felt everywhere. Why it was getting showered with 10 out of 10 scores. Why it was being treated like the second coming of indie gaming. Not because it was a plant, but because it was planted. With an entire ecosystem designed to push visibility, create engagement, amplify discovery, and keep the conversation moving.
Basically, the gaming equivalent of showing up to a race with a Flintstones car that has a jet engine strapped to the back.
And when all those pieces come together, how could Mixtape ever fail? After following the money, the marketing, the PR firms, the influencer campaigns, the visibility pipelines, the music infrastructure, and the promotional ecosystem surrounding this game, Mixtape stops looking like a grassroots indie breakout and starts looking like something the industry was specifically built to support or even hired to support.
An indie game carefully grown in a lab somewhere deep beneath Los Angeles and fed a steady diet of likes, retweets, and TikTok culture.
Honestly, that would explain a lot. But if we learned anything, it's that when something in this industry feels off, there's usually a reason.
And if something feels too good to be true, it probably is.
You just have to be willing to keep digging after everyone else stops.
Preferably with a shovel.
Please stop burying things. But in all seriousness, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support lets us do what we do best. Follow the receipts.
And remember, when the industry falls into parody,
you can always come to us for some Gothic therapy.
Happy nightmares!
Share with your crew, escape life's hell. From spooky memes to advice obscure, here's your dark solace of humor as a cure.